Okay, good afternoon. So I have been trying to do. Um, Zoom has not been cooperating for me for this presentation and another presentation. It will let me record, but the face camera has it's been working, but it has not been showing up. But I've had problems today and yesterday for it, so I've done this for my other presentation as well. Hopefully, it works out. I have my presentations on my phone right here. So if I look off to the side, that is going to be why. Um, so I'm going to be doing, mine is going to be about baseball coaching scandal that is happening. So we get started here. Obviously, the desired career is I want to be a baseball coach. I think that we baseball coaches have to start low, like obviously middle school, high school, and then work your way up in the ranks just like anybody else would. So I said, preferably, I want to be an NCAA baseball coach. Everybody's dream, whether it be play sports or be in sports, is to be the top of the cream of the crop. MLB, NFL, whatever it is. I put in MLB just because it obviously is a dream, but it's kind of hard to get there in terms of no experience or just being a coach there. You have to, usually the coaches that are there are people that have already played. They're Hall of Famers. They're some guys that have played ball for a very long time and know the game inside and out, which, I mean, there's still room for me knowing the game. You learn something new every day. But an NCAA baseball coach would be the way to go for me. I think that for me personally, I think an assistant would be a really good spot for me because I like to lead. I like to have that in my back pocket, but in terms of being a head coach, I think it's a very big role and would take a lot of time to do. So the assistant at NCAA makes about $20.56 hourly, $822 weekly, and $3,564 monthly, and they're about 43,000 yearly. It's decent. But I mean, obviously, there's better routes you can go, and then the MLB. I threw that in there as well. You can tell it's a little bit more of an increase in money, but it's not too much. But this is also just the assistant coach spot. Now, this video that I'm about to show you is about 40 seconds long. I just want you to hear it out. It's really interesting.
I don't give a shit. Like I said, 15 minutes from now, you don't give a fuck. You walk out of here. I gotta live with this fucking embarrassing game the rest of my fucking life. I have totally fucking failed you guys. We got beat at every single fucking part of this. Everything. Everything. Infield play. They two-out hitting. Everything. Totally fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I apologize. I have totally let you down.
And if you could see there at the end, it had stated that is Texas. They played in the Big Ten, and after that speech, which that game they lost, after that pretty motivational speech, I would say, they ended up winning the next 10 games that they played and won conference champions. And I think that's something that goes a really far way as far as coaching. Obviously, he wasn't too happy about the outcome of that game, and you can tell. But that leads me to my next slide of why I chose this topic. I want to now, maybe not in that sense of language and motivational skills, but I want to encourage the next generation of kids that play baseball. Um, me myself growing up, I had good and bad coaches that I have been around and have coached me. I've noticed that the bad coaches, they're there for the job, they're there for the title, they don't really want to do anything to motivate you in terms of playing. Um, I want to be a role model in that sense, so I want to be that coach right there, Coach Augie, not him. This is Ron Washington right here, but in the past slide, the guy that gave the motivational speech, that's Coach Augie Garrido. He's one of the more old-fashioned, hardened coaches that I've been around, and those types of coaches usually get you far in life. And it's somebody that I would want to be, somebody what I want to look up to. I look up to Coach Augie. This guy right here is Ron Washington. He's been a baseball player. He's been in the league for a long time. He knows his stuff, and he is a guy who leads. Coach Augie is a guy who leads. They will give it to you straight. They have great knowledge in the game, and they're not afraid to exhibit their knowledge and tell you straight up. Those are the type of guys that I look up to, and I want to be when I grow up. And I think that works in anybody's role in whatever they're doing in their life. As far as communication skills, that's a great way right there. I mean, especially like Coach Augie in the last video, he's speaking his mind, and obviously he's mad, but that's a great life lesson right there. It's just the way you play the game, and obviously it's a game, it's a sport, it's not your life, but he treats it like it is because that's his passion, that's what he likes to do, and that's what he thrives for. So the overview, the case that I used was actually from Alabama, their baseball team, and this was April 24th, 2003. Their head coach, he's their head coach, Brad Bohannon, sorry. He got fired on that date because Alabama was playing LSU. So he got suspended for the next 5 seasons for giving inside information. The provided information was about a starting pitcher who at the time was Luke Holman, and he'd ended up not starting to playing LSU. So I think it was his friend, Brad Bohannon's friend, Bert Eugene Neff. Bert Eugene Neff was told by Brad Bohannon that the starting pitcher, Luke Holman, was not starting for Alabama. He was going to be scratched from the starting the starting game day. And Bert Eugene Neff was a gambler. So this interaction right here violated ethical conduct rules, receiving in a 15-year showcase. A 15-year showcase, just a showcase in terms of NCAA sports is pretty much like something that you did. It stays with you for whatever your amount of years that you've been told. So in this case, it was 15 years. So that action has stuck with him for 15 years, no matter what. So getting into it further, the better, which was Neff. He placed in a $100,000 wager, but was only limited to $15K by the sportsbook staff. And this is through BetMGM. So further down the road, Neff's attorney said that Neff had only placed one bet involving LSU, which was a parlay. That's what he said it was. But the authorities claimed that he placed another in terms of giving out information. And I think it was probably 4 or 5 other gamblers that he had told this information to. And that's obviously Neff had lied to the authorities about his actions and what he's done, so that goes deeper into the consequences and what you can and cannot do. But in terms of Bohannon, he was charged with obstruction of justice, and if I put this in caps, because if he is reinstated with any sort of NCAA team after being fired, he has to be suspended for 100% of the baseball season for the next 5 full seasons of wherever he is employed to. Also the Ohio Casino Control Commission, which is the OCCC, they're to have Bohannon added to the involuntary exclusion list. So this pretty much means that whenever he's pretty much on the like do not come back list in terms of NCAA to try to dumb down the exclusion, the involuntary exclusion part. But they do not want him back. Neff, on the other hand, pleaded guilty. He's facing up to 10 years in prison. He has a fine of $250,000, and I think that was the minimum fine, for destroying evidence, which he tried doing when he covered up and lying about how many bets he placed, and then whoever else he told, the other bettors, which I think the investigators still don't know exactly what other bettors he told, but he told up to 4 to 5. Tampering with the witnesses, obviously, and providing false statements to the FBI. So the Indiana Gaming Commission and the OCCC put a ban on Neff from the state's gaming institution due to suspicious betting, and this is because of him lying about his actions with the parlay that was said to have happened through his attorney. Neff said he was going to appeal this as well, but I highly doubt that would happen, so he's pretty much banned from that. So, the self-reflection, and I think this is a huge piece in terms of sports in general. Coaches are big when it's coming to having to access like these type of things, knowing who's starting, knowing who's going to pitch, knowing who's going to go in next, knowing who's hurt even on the team, because that has a big role. If your starting guy is hurt and you're the only one that knows that, if you tell other people, then the word's going to get out, and other people can use that as an advantage towards playing your team or competing against your team. So that type of information, even though it doesn't seem like it's something that's very valuable, it can be very valuable to other people like gamblers or even other teams, and they can use that information and it can be used the wrong way, like it has been right here, and somebody got fired for it. Student athletes are the same way. They shouldn't be doing any of that. However, it's more, they don't really they understand it, but they don't really know how valuable it is at the time. Like if I were to say, or if one of my friends were to say I was hurt and I wasn't playing in this game tomorrow, and you now know that, you can tell somebody, but it's not really it's just like oh yeah, he's hurt, he's not going to be playing. So it's a big deal still, but student athletes don't really know how valuable that information actually could be in terms of, let's say for baseball and Fresno State baseball, we go to a regional or super regional, and those games mean a lot more to the team and to the coaches and anybody else that's watching. Those games mean a lot more, so knowing that information that's very valuable. Administrators have the same knowledge, obviously, and they're the head above coaches and staff because they know majority of the team's information as well. But the easiest way, I think, to not get caught up in any situation is to stay away from all of this and stay away from sports betting in general. Obviously, the Alabama head coach, Bohannon, didn't sports bet, but he leaked information that was valuable. But in general, everybody, coaches, staff, administrations, players, they all need to be careful about what they say and how they say it. I think that's the biggest thing that, and who they say it to. That's the biggest thing that comes into play. And I mean, obviously, as you can see, the left, you have these things. You can't. It might be kind of small, but it says, the top one says don't bet on it, and it's on the Super Bowl. And then the bottom one obviously says don't bet on it as well, and that's for the NCAA March Madness tournament. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. However, stuff like that can be very deceiving in terms of what you can and can't bet on, and the ins and outs and the fine print, and the majority of the time you'll probably get caught up and get in trouble for whatever it is that you do bet on, if you do, or even if what you do say, like head coach Brad Bohannon. So the best way that our team has gone about it, Fresno State baseball, and our coaches, is just not bet on anything, not keep what's within the game of baseball to our team. Don't let it leave the clubhouse, don't let it leave the field, and just stay away from any sort of things like that. That's usually the best resolution that you can do for that. And then the last slide here, we have our sources. So this presentation obviously is a little different in terms of presentations you might have seen. So I'm going to email you my presentation as well as send you this video. So hopefully you can see a better look of, if you want to see my sources or whatever it is. And I hope you like it. Thank you.